Welcome to episode 113 of Outside the Circle, a podcast dedicated to new and upcoming country artists, musicians, and songwriters. Today's guest will be Jet Jurgensmeyer. We'll get to him in a little bit, but first, I'm Ronnie, and here's Brian.
What's happening, man? Yeah, this was a fun one, and we are going to get into it. Here on the Hopkins household, I was able to celebrate our first anniversary of marriage, which was crazy. I can't believe it's already been a year. And then for all of my deer hunting friends, it is November. It's if you know, you know, right?
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that the other day. Is it the same everywhere? Or is region like different times a year? For
the most part, it is this time of year. You can pinpoint it to the exact week. That week can fluctuate, per region, but it's normally November is go time. Yeah.
So it's perfect timing for me to start the second magazine here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, 1 year, I was convinced it's been two, and like I had to go back and go through things. And it feels like two for me. But,
dude, for me, it felt like a blink of an eye. It was just like, we had gone over and watched our video or wedding video again and stuff. And it's like zero time has passed. I remember it was yesterday. We were all sitting around the backyard fire, just talking and having some bourbons and stuff. And it was crazy. It's crazy. It's been a year and how fast it's gone.
Yeah. The week before earlier in the week was 3 years for us.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy too. It's yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, especially during all that COVID stuff and you guys coming out of COVID with it. Right. Yeah, it's time flies the older we get here.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have this interview with Jet here. He's got plenty of time. He's only 18 years old and already has quite the list of accomplishments and career behind him and a lot more to come for sure. Yeah. So yeah, let's jump into that interview.
Cool.
All right, everyone. We're here today with singer, songwriter, and actor Jet Jurgensmeyer. Welcome to Outside the Circle, Jet. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, no, we're excited to have you. We obviously we like to do a little bit of research ahead of time, and we found some common things that we, I guess, share and all that. So it'll be good to dive into some stuff.
Absolutely.
We always like to start with the very cliche, give us a little bit about, where you grew up and how important music was and entertainment as a whole. We'll get into that, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. It's where I am right now. And my parents, I grew up kind of in their bar that they owned from when I was born till I was 8. It's called the Nashville Palace. It's still there to this day, right across the street from Opryland. Oh, cool. And I kind of grew up on stage there. I started getting up when I was 3 and singing and telling jokes and kind of just entertaining people. And I fell in love with entertainment there. And I always make the joke. I'm not the one that came up with this joke. It's been going around for far before I ever came along. But when you're from Nashville, you're going to be involved in entertainment in some way, shape, or form, whether you're the guy in front of the camera, behind the camera, on stage, behind the mic, or behind the board, mixing it. And I just happened to be the one that was typically in front of the camera and behind the mic. So I kind of fell in love with that. And at the ripe old age of 4, I started acting in Nashville. And then, about a year later when I was 5, started going out to LA and haven't looked back. I'm going to be 19 next month. And so it'll be, a long time of being in the entertainment industry.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, we had a previous guest on that was, born and raised in Nashville. And like you said, I mean, Nashville is kind of its own kind of weird town. It's just like, everybody does music or, entertainment in one way or another. It's not just like, You know what I mean? Like, where Ronnie and I are from, it's like you're the cool guy at the party with a guitar or something like that. It's just like there, it's just like it's a part of life, right?
It's funny that you say that because whenever you're in Nashville, I always say you can throw a stone and hit 5 musicians. Just like when you're in LA, you throw a stone at a restaurant and every waiter and waitress is an actor or actress. It's that same sort of thing. It's actually really funny whenever I'm in LA and I see somebody carrying a guitar, I go, that's a musician. And then if I'm in Nashville and I see somebody not carrying a guitar, I'm like, what are y'all doing? Come on. Everybody here knows how to play. I started college here in Nashville at Belmont University, and it's a huge liberal arts school. So a lot of music everywhere. Everybody's a musician. I was just hanging out with one of my friends, and she's a nursing major and has a beautiful voice and sings Patsy Cline like you can't believe. And I'm like, what in the world, what in the Belmont is happening here? And it's funny because, I go back home to like Missouri and I see family and they're like, "Oh, Jet, you got any girls or anything like that?" And I'm like, "Nope, not yet." And they go, "Well, you're a musician, just like pull out your guitar." I'm like, "Yeah, and so is everybody else in my hallway at my dorm. I'm not unique here. I gotta actually have like a good personality or something."
Yeah, which is always the easy part for us in the other side of the coin, I guess, the areas that don't have musicians walking the streets everywhere. That becomes a nice little grab bag thing. It's just like, here, let me just pull this guitar out for a second. I can't talk anymore.
Exactly. See, I think I would fit in perfectly in an environment like that because I can't talk to girls, man. I play guitar. I'm like, that's that. I just need that to be able to. I point over here because I have a guitar over here, but I'm like, I just need that to. I need that to speak for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would kind of jump around a little bit. So you just made the comment that everybody on your floor plays guitar and is a musician. That you're not unique, but there's got to be something, right? Like what's your factor that helps you stand out?
That's a great question. I think saying everybody's, I'm not unique is more so for a comedic relief there, because everybody is unique. Everybody's got their own thing that separates them. I think for me, I'm always kind of the positive person in every situation. So people kind of look to me to be the person who will make light of an awkward situation or loves awkward silence and tension. Oh my goodness. If I can cut it with a knife or with scissors, oh, it's perfect. You kidding me? I thrive on that. It is beautiful. So I'm definitely that kind of person, that optimist of the group. But I'm a very genuine person. Kind of what you see is what you get with me. I know when to be that happy-go-lucky person and when to be serious, and I think my friends know that. My family knows that. They can come to me and talk to me about just about anything, and I'll be there for them. Everybody's kind of got their own thing. Mine, obviously, I'm sure I'm awful at talking about myself, but I'm sure there's more traits that my family and friends like about me. Surely.
Yeah. All right, so let's go all the way back again. So,
alrighty,
you mentioned starting to act around 4 or 5, heading out to LA, and have your parents having the bar in Nashville. I always like to ask, when did you know, or was there a moment that, in your case, not just music, but the entertainment industry was going to be what the path you were heading down?
I don't think it was necessarily one particular thing. I really think it was a series of events. It was the fact that I never met a stranger, that I always loved being in front of people and entertaining people. I kind of understood from a very young age that entertainment is helping people forget about whatever it is they're going through for 3.5 minutes, for a single song, for whatever it is that you're on stage or in front of the camera doing, for one scene. That's what entertainment is. And I kind of realized that pretty early on, but I really liked the idea of getting to just be in front of people and entertain people. meet new people. Obviously, I never shut up. I just talk and talk and talk. So I was like, I'm doing this as a quote unquote job. What does that even mean? For a great example of that is I didn't know until I was 10 that I actually got paid as an actor, because it wasn't one of those things where I was supporting my family. I was very fortunate to have parents that both were able to work from wherever and be with me at all times. And so everything that I ever made was put away and invested for me by my parents, who I love very dearly for that. And so I didn't even realize that I was doing this for some sort of monetary reason. I was doing it because it was fun and I enjoyed it, and I still do.
Yeah. I mean, props to mom and dad. I mean, that you kind of hear like
Absolutely.
horror stories sometimes about that type of thing. And I'm thrilled that they, had the foresight to be able to, see that come in and put away a little bit for you.
Absolutely.
On the folk side, what kind of music were you all listening to? I mean, was it all kind of country or?
It was everything. So obviously being in Nashville, I grew up listening to country and kind of, what was modern country at that time, while I was 5 and then 8 and 11. And now that I'm 18, what's modern country. But my mother was a really big old country fan, grew up listening to that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I grew up listening to George Jones, Patsy Cline, Loretta Lynn, George Strait, Alan Jackson. I was in an Alan Jackson music video. So I kind of grew up with a wide variety of that. And then when we started going out to California, I was exposed to that kind of music. I listened to everything from hip hop to pop to jazz to contemporary to indie to rock, grunge. That was around for about a solid 7 years. And so listening to all different kinds of genres, it really kind of opened my spectrum. And I think you can really tell that in what I release, anything from my last album. You'll hear some rock stuff on there. You'll hear country. You'll hear my faith-based stuff. And then, because that's a big part of my life is my faith. And, even now with just the first 2 songs that I've released off the next album, Falling 2 and All I Need, Falling 2, my friends kind of call that country Ed Sheeran because he's a big inspiration for me. Mm-hmm. And then All I Need, that's Billy Joel inspired. That's Vienna by Billy Joel inspired. That's where that song really originated. And so it really just varies on, like, what I release varies on what I'm listening to in that moment. But I was very blessed to grow up listening to everything and have parents that also listen to everything and then could say, hey, why don't you give this artist a listen? I think you do this song really well on stage.
Yeah, that's cool. I was kind of the same kind of way, I would say, if that's so I grew up in a very country household. Like, my folks only listen to country, but I had a great group of friends and who kind of exposed me. I had, an older brother, and that was the same type of thing that I would be, sitting in a car or something and hear like a DMX or something. Blew my mind. You know what I mean? Like, blew my mind. I'm like, whoa. Mm-hmm. And then, but like from the musician side of me, I was always listening to a little bit more rock stuff and everything. And then, but I always kind of just fell back on, I'm a traditional country dude for like way back, man. And
absolutely,
I love that style of music. And I mean, the stuff that you've put out so far has been great. And I really dig that you said the Billy Joel, because like obviously we'll get into the song later here on, but it was totally like my where I was going with that on the whole piano part. But we'll dive into it.
Absolutely,
a little bit later,
that's exactly. And I think that's what's beautiful about being a songwriter and an artist is you can challenge yourself. Mm-hmm. If I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan, I love Dave Grohl and listen to Foo Fighters, and I mean tracking his stuff all the way back to Nirvana. Nirvana has some of the most amazing music you can ever possibly listen to. Yeah. And I listen to that stuff and I try to challenge myself now and write things that are like that. And I have some stuff that I'm looking forward to recording for this next album. And you have to challenge yourself because I think I always say this, I think the worst thing anybody can say is this is how I've always done it. Mm. It's like, why? keep changing, stay fluid, stay growing, keep writing what you're experiencing in life. Everything that I release, either myself or one of my co-writers experienced or is currently experiencing, because our audience is continuing to grow and experience life, and they're going to get bored of hearing the same thing over and over again from you.
Yeah.
So I do want to jump into songwriting, but before we get there, you mentioned Dave Grohl, so we need to have a quick discussion on him. First and foremost, did you read his book or?
I have not read his book or the book that his mother wrote about him, which I really need to read.
Yeah, I do a lot of driving for work, so I did the audio book of his book.
I love audiobooks.
And he reads it, and it's so good. Like I was laughing, I was crying. It's so good.
As soon as we get off the phone here, I'm going to buy that audiobook and listen to it.
Yeah, it was so good. And it's funny you brought up his mom. So I lived in Los Angeles for a couple of years. I was out there 13 years ago now. That was a long time ago. But when I was out there, I had some terrible bakery job behind the counter. And I'll never forget, there was one night I was closing up. It was inside a grocery store. So it was, once everything shuts down, everybody's moving out. This guy comes barreling in the door, and he's got the, what do you call that? Like, Brian, what I'm talking about, the baby thing, where the baby sits in the backpack. Like,
oh yeah,
so this guy comes, those things. The guy comes barreling in. He's got this baby on his chest, and he just like throws a slip on the counter, and he's like, I need to pick this up. It's whatever. It's a totally last minute. So I pick it up. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I go in the back. It's a custom cake. A $600 custom cake, because why do we do anything? So the whole time I'm freaking out that I'm gonna drop it. Like, so I take it out front and I put it down, and never once did I like look up and like really acknowledge. I was trying to get out of there. Right, it was 10 o'clock at night. Hands me his credit card. Grab it, swipe it, and I go, okay, Mr. Grohl. Oh, what? Dave Grohl is standing in front of me getting his mom a birthday cake. Yeah, I will never forget that moment.
Was he carrying his daughter did he have a baby in the baby carrier?
Yeah, so yeah, I guess it would have to have been her, yeah.
So they, on the Foo Fighters' latest album, But Here We Are, there's a song, I'm looking at it right now, it's called Show Me How. She actually sings with him on that song.
Oh, cool.
She's the female vocal on that song.
Oh,
also, that album is just killer. Any Foo Fighters stuff I haven't found a song that I haven't liked.
No.
Yeah. No. Yeah, and going back to the Nirvana stuff, that very big influence in my life as well. So
also the acoustic version of Everlong is ridiculous. And if you listen to Dave Grohl on YouTube break down the song and then play the acoustic, oh my goodness, it puts that song on a totally different movie screen, and you can literally watch the picture, and it's bizarre.
I have a hate-love relationship with Everlong. I had a small stint in a rock band as a singer, and they wanted to play that, and for the longest time I could not get the phrasing of that song down to save my friggin' life, man. It was just like something about it. It was just like something in my brain. It was like, something's not right, man. I just can't figure it out for the longest time.
There's certain songs where that happens. There's certain songs where the melody sounds so simple, and I go to learn it and try to sing it, and I'm like, I can't do it. I don't know why. I can't do it. And then there's some where it's shouting and it's all over the place, and it's like it's a Luke Combs song where he's up and down with his voice, and I'm like, Lord have mercy, this is going to be a pain to sing. And then I sing it, and I'm like, I don't understand this at all. Why does this one work and this one doesn't?
Yeah. I'm in that same boat, man. The the Everlong one killed me for the longest time. I couldn't figure it out. And then, like you said, I mean, everybody can sing along to it to the radio, right? You strip Dave Grohl out of it, and then you're just like on your own, and you got to be that voice, and you're just like, nope, not working.
It doesn't compute. It doesn't feel the same.
Yeah. And so I mentioned that I lived in LA for a little bit. I come from the like film side of entertainment before the music side myself. And in one of my film classes years ago, we had to take a song and like essentially use that song as like the movie and like base like a short film off of it. And we used Everlong.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's really cool. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
See, I hope to be a successful enough songwriter one day that people do that with a song that I wrote.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about that then, the songwriting side of things. So you mentioned in less words the authenticity of writing what you know and what you're going through and all that stuff. I mean, I guess in the simplest form, what does that process look like for you? What's your songwriting go-tos?
It really varies on a couple things, life and who I'm writing with. If I'm going into a room where I know the person or people typically are people that bring really strong hooks and titles to songs or verses, I'm going to try to come up with a cool chord progression or melody that we can sing along to. That's typically something that I'm pretty strong at. But if it's the other way around where somebody is just an awesome guitar player or pianist and can play anything and comes up with really awesome melodies and progressions, then I'm going to try to come up with some really cool lyrics to write something to. So it really varies. One of the ways that I write when I'm coming up with lyrics where I'm writing on my own, which is very rare, I typically mainly co-write, but if I'm coming up with ideas, I'm just kind of writing stuff down on my phone, adding to the hundreds of voice memos already on my phone. I typically just sing the first thing that comes to mind. I'll sing whatever. I almost sing my lyrics like I'm having the conversation with the listener. And so that's something I kind of look forward to doing on this next album is some of those songs. I think you'll be able to really tell that because I'll actually have written a couple of them on my own. And that's kind of really special to me. And I think those lyrics are the ones that are the most raw and the most real to me because they're the first thing that came to mind. Mm-hmm. And that's connected to my heart. And that's whatever I'm going through as a whole. And then when it's with my other co-writers, if they throw out an idea, a lot of times they'll be like, well, where'd that idea come from? And they always have a connection to it. Everybody's got a story, whether it was, man, I was driving down the road the other day and I saw this truck and it had a broken back windshield. And I just thought, man, if life was like a broken back windshield, that'd be crazy looking at all the cracks in it and just thinking about my past. And I'm like, that was okay. So you had a good connection to that broken Ford's back windshield. All right, we're writing that song. And we can all relate to that story of looking back at all of our past mistakes and things that we've missed out on. And so it really, you kind of have to put yourself in the shoes. If it's not your idea, you got to put yourself or try to put yourself in your mind in the shoes of the person whose idea it was, or the person who's in the song, the person who's experiencing what the song is telling. Because you don't have to be musically inclined to listen to music and tell when it's bullcrap. When the artist has no idea what they're singing about, or when the songwriter didn't know what they were writing about, you can tell. Yeah. And I think that was something that was really important to me on the last album, which was my goal for that last album was to write all the songs, which I did, because that's how it could be the most real. And my goal for this album is to not only write all the songs, but to add on to that, be there for the entire mastering and the mixing and all of that, to know the entire process that went into every single story that's on that album. Because how can I stand on stage and sell that story to an audience and tell them that this is something that I'm experiencing or that I've gone through if I don't know everything that went into making it?
Yeah. No, that's a great, the reason why I went into audio engineering, it was that process, same type of thing where, I went into being a musician, right? Went to Nashville, did the whole thing, and then came back and I was like, you know what? Like in my thought process was, I can step into any recording studio, sing into it, and then leave, and then not know at all what the hell happened to that song. Or be, both sides of the coin where I can sing into the microphone, jump on a mixing board, be able to do what I need to, know everything, and then be able to, some producers are okay with it, some aren't, be able to put your 2 cents in as the artist, and
absolutely,
and find the right path that, they don't know the kind of, road that you want that song to go down, right? And so for you as the artist to be like, nah, I kind of want it more sounding like this, that type of thing is hugely important,
And that's so true. I was really surprised when I found out that majority of artists aren't there for the mixing and the mastering of their songs.
Yeah.
They send it off to do that. And I did that for my last album. I wasn't there for any of that. So that's why each project I try to add like a goal or a challenge to just keep it real. Because it keeps challenging me. I continue to learn. Sitting on one session with my amazing producer that I am producing this album with, Dan Frizzell, sitting on one session with him, I will never again complain about a mix coming in late because seeing how much time this man puts on just EQing the drums. Oh my Lord, there's 16 microphones per drum kit. And I'm looking at this and it looks like gibberish to me. And he's pulling them. He's like, I'm going to pull this sample over. And then I got to pull that out. Listen to all this phasing that's happening. I got to pull that out, man. This one's, I'm sitting there. And I mean, the first 2 times that I joined him for a mixing session, I was like, my notebook, I brought a notebook. So I was like, I'm going to try to remember some of this. And I wrote phase in a big question mark and circled it. I was like, I don't know what it is, but I tell you what, by the 3rd time, I'm going to figure it out. I figured it out.
There you go.
Barely. But it's one of those things where I'm just trying to challenge myself. And I absolutely love it. I love being there for the whole part of it because that's how it feels the most real. And you made a great point. Nobody knows how you want this song to come out better than you. Mm-hmm. I don't think you should be stuck up about it and say, no, this is how I want it. Right. Obviously, take other people that know more than you. I always know that I am the least experienced guy in the room. But don't go in there with the mindset of you're not the most or the least experienced guy in the room. And so I've had experience with that even with just Falling To and All I Need. There were things that if I hadn't been in there, that song would have sounded completely different on certain parts of it, if not as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, the Ronnie hears me all the time talk about that mixing drums.
Oh my goodness!
The amount of time that, and I'm glad that you were able to experience that because it's a very small amount of people that experience mixing a kick and snare for 25, 30 minutes.
I'm like, I'm just going to go into Ableton or Logic and use one of their plugins that automatically comes with it. I don't even have a Splice membership or whatever that is. The membership that you pay monthly subscription. Thank you. My brain finally caught up to my mouth. Yeah. I don't even do that. I'm like, that's not my specialty. If I ever wanted to mix drums, I tell you what, I would just pull a sample and that's what I would use because I will not go mic by mic and do that. Nope. Oh yeah. Yeah, man. I'll sit there and watch somebody do it. I don't want to have to do it. My hand cramps thinking about it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's definitely tough, and it's wearing on your ears and your mind and everything when you're just listening to dook, dook, dook.
I literally slept that night, I swear, with a metronome going off in my mind, just listening to the one snare and the different versions that we had to listen to decide how we wanted it to sound in the song. Yeah. Oh, it haunted me for a week. Yeah. I was like, I can't play music. Yeah. I can't. This is what is happening.
My mentor, who's a Grammy-winning engineer too, the first time that I sat with him, it was the same type of thing, man, sitting through drums, and I had fresh ears, right? I had never listened that intently to a snare drum hit, and we're just going through and click, 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 it's going. And he's like, oh, that one sounded different. I'm like, how? I'm like, how did it sound different? Nowhere.
Bizarre. Yeah. Now, what you notice, though, is that very quickly you do start to pick up on it, which is amazing. Yeah. But it's crazy to me how they can hear. I mean, for people that know what phasing is such a small, minute thing. You really, the naked ear majority of people can't hear, but it does eventually just sound like a bunch of white noise in the back of the song, and it completely muddles up the whole mix. But I mean, for the first week of sitting there with Dan, I'm sitting there, we had 4 songs that we were mixing, and I'm like, I'll be honest with you, man. He's like, you hear this? And then he'll you hear that? Now listen. Now you hear that? Now watch if I twist that. You hear that? And I'm like, it sounds like a snare. I tell you what, it sounds like a snare. I hear it. It's on the right beat. That's about all I can tell, man. It's just cracking in my ear, and now it's stuck there.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say that I come from a long line of hearing impairment and all of that, and I was blessed for that, so I didn't have to get so technical in this world of things.
Don't do it. It is a rabbit hole that once you start, you cannot crawl your way out of because you're head first and your arms are stuck pinned down by your legs.
Yeah. All right. So you keep mentioning All I Need and Falling To and these couple songs that just came out, and I think this is probably a good time to take our break and play the song we're going to play for you. Why don't you go ahead and introduce it for us, and we'll talk about it when we come back.
Absolutely. So we're gonna be playing Falling To, or All I Need. We're gonna play All I Need, and All I Need is really special. I wrote that with my friends Benjamin and Vincent, and they brought the idea to me. They said, Jet, we had started this song like 2.5 years ago on a tour bus. And they just kind of had a melody and a verse, and I loved it because it was so relatable for me, being a 16, 17-year-old teenager, kind of having that young love. And then I hear the piano, and I'm a huge Billy Joel fan. I love singing and rocking out to Vienna while I'm in the car. I don't know why that song gets me just amped. I have no idea why. My brain is backwards. But I love, and that was the first connection I made, and that was super important for me to keep that when we actually had the final of it. And so I really hope people can kind of hear the inspiration behind it and really be able to relate to the lyrics in this song.
Feelings come and feelings go. If there's one thing that I know, my love, you outshine the sun. And every morning it's the same. You're the best part of my day, my love, you outshine the sun. There's something I think you should know. All I need is a little bit of love, a little love to make me happy. All I need is a little bit of you, a little love is all I need. And when night falls, what can I do? Your light always leads me through. My love, you outshine the sun. I can find you anywhere. Just name the place and I'll be there. My love, you outshine the sun. It's something that I've always known. All I need is a little bit of love, a little love to make me happy. All I need is a little bit of you, a little love is all I need. I need. I don't wanna live another day with these dark clouds in my way. I see your sunshine coming through whenever I get close to you. Shine on, shine on. You shine brighter than the sun. All I need is a little bit of love, a little love to make me happy. All I need is a little bit of you, a little love is all I need.
All right, so that was All I Need. You kind of went into a little bit of the inspiration, especially the Billy Joel background, before we went to the song. Since it's been released, I believe it's at least a month or two now, a couple months here. How has the response been so far to the song?
It's been surprising, almost overwhelming, actually. Within the first, like, I think it was 8 or 9 hours of it being released, it was on two large Apple Music playlists, which was very bizarre. And then it was also put on a big Spotify playlist, and playlists that I had never been put on before. And so that was terrifying to me. I mean, within the first literally 8 or 9 hours, it was put on the best new songs in country playlist on Apple Music, and it was put on the new in country playlist as well. And seeing the other people that I'm up there with, like Miranda Lambert, Jelly Roll, Lainey Wilson, Hardy, Morgan Wallen, I'm up there. I'm like, this doesn't feel real. It's strange. Yeah. So it's been overwhelming and it's been amazing all at the same time. And I feel very blessed, and I don't take any of it for granted, because I can't thank everybody enough for streaming it.
Yeah, man, it's a really cool song. It's it's a pretty song, right? And it fits in that realm, and I love it. I think it's such a cool. I love the piano throughout it. Do you play piano too?
I do play piano very poorly, but I do play it.
Yeah, you can hear that the song was written like on a piano type of thing, right? It just kind of lends itself right.
I always say I play piano well enough to write songs on it.
Yeah,
that's as much as I know. I can play the scales, and I can play the chords well enough to actually be able to sing along to it.
Yeah,
have the professional come in and do it for the recording. But that song was really important to me to have that softer feel. Because it's something that's very, very. I don't have a song on even my last album that was piano led and piano driven, and so ending that song with those little twinkles, that it's a Celeste that's actually getting played on those little twinkles at the end and kind of throughout the song. We were in the studio and I was doing just a scratch vocal. I was singing in the vocal box. I sing through it one time for the musicians, and then they have it to play over. And I hear Rojas, our pianist, playing for us, and he's so phenomenal. And I hear him playing that little Celeste, and my ears perked, and I was like, Rojas. I'm yelling over top of people talking, and every musician's laughing and playing. I hear guitars, and oh my goodness. And I'm like, just don't forget that. And he goes, what? I said, whatever it is. I had no idea what the instrument was. I said, just remember that. That would be really cool to end the song with, because that ties in the almost lullaby of how love is supposed to feel. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to feel easy and right. And that's exactly what I love it. And it's little minute things like that really just bring out the story.
Yeah.
And it just makes me happy thinking about it.
Yeah. So I for one am, obviously Brian's talking about all this recording and all the technical stuff of things. I like to take it from like the lyrical and content side of it. And I also absolutely love this song. And you know what it reminded me of? And I feel like, and this is, hopefully this comes out the right way and in a good way, but we had that, I don't know what, probably 10 years ago when like Hunter Hayes and Frankie Ballard first like kind of started hitting the scene, and then we kind of lost that a little bit. There's not really many, if at all, people kind of doing that realm of country or music in general now. It immediately brought me back to like those moments and just really like enjoying the song as its own piece of art, as opposed to, we talk about albums all the time and, how an album is the whole piece of the puzzle and, whatever, but I very much enjoyed where it took me in that like listening journey.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what's cool too about that is like, I don't know. I mean, popular country radio has its own place but you don't hear a lot of like that piano in country music now. You know what I mean? It's a lot of guitars,
Absolutely.
It's a lot of, you know, that type of thing. I mean, Tyler Childers just released a piano main, you know, song, and that's another Tyler Childers is like he's like should be on the Mount Rushmore.
Killer.
But,
Absolutely.
no, but I think it's cool, man. And I think that, you know, it's unique. And the fact that you release a song like this, super vulnerable song, you know, I mean, this isn't going to be like one of those songs that you get to play, you know, or that you're going to play on stage and rock out to, you know what I mean? So it's like,
but it's one of those songs that you can have such a strong connection with the audience when you do decide to play it in the middle of your set. You bring out a piano and play that song.
Yeah.
No band leaves the stage, just the piano, and you sing that song.
Yeah.
And it's things like that that just make me so excited about music and what I get to do for a living.
Yeah, that's like one of those times where you just get to just like lock in with the crowd, you know, and they're all ears. Everybody stops talking for a second. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually funny you said that, having that intimate moment. So this past weekend I saw Larry Fleet up in this area, and he came out, the first song he did just by himself, just acoustic, and then every like 6 songs everybody left and it was just him in the crowd, and
he's so phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
he is such a talented songwriter, talented singer. I really want to see him in person. I haven't got to see him in person yet.
Yeah, that was my first time, and Brian bailed on me. I mean, but,
how dare you, Brian? Come on.
Yeah.
You can't leave our boy Ronnie hanging.
Yeah, but it was, I knew it was going to be good, but it was so good.
Little did you know.
Oh yeah. But I love that for this song being that moment of connection and vulnerability, like you said. And yeah,
thank you.
Phenomenal. All right, so let's kind of jump off music for a second. So, well, first and foremost, let's ask you the loaded question. So, being in and around Nashville, doing music, writing, recording, releasing, all that good stuff, heading to the West Coast, filming, doing all that good stuff. What do you like more, acting or music?
Entertainment.
Yep.
You can tell I've had to answer that one before. The thing is, I genuinely just enjoy making other people happy. I enjoy making people smile. I enjoy just the entertainment of it. And whether that's on a stage with a guitar strapped across my chest or in front of a camera wearing a lav mic acting out a scene.
You know, what's good about that too is that, like you said, you know, throughout this whole time with us is, you know, you're constantly growing, right? So each one of them give you your own little obstacles, I guess, and challenges and stuff like that. So it's great for the brain to be able to kind of jump back and forth. And I mean, it's got to feel nice too to be able to like give one a break for a second, you know what I mean? And like throw all yourself into a music scene or, you know, all of yourself into an acting scene. That type of thing has got to be great.
Oh, absolutely. And they complement each other so much. You know, performing on stage really helps with doing live action or in-person comedy shows like Last Man Standing, Will and Grace, things like that. You know, they really kind of tee the other up for success. There's not really a downside. Mm-hmm. So they go hand in hand. I love them both dearly. They've both been a major part of my life for the majority of my life.
Yeah. So you mentioned Last Man Standing. So I wanted to kind of talk about that one in particular. You took on a series regular role. In the past on this podcast, we've had some folks who do both the acting and the music. Not that anything's wrong with any of them, but you know, one-off, some background stuff, nothing crazy. So getting something like a series regular, kind of tell us a little bit about what that means, and then also, juggling that with school and life and music and, all that good stuff.
Stressful is what it means. It's a blast. So I became a fan of Last Man Standing about 6 months before I actually got the audition. Started watching it religiously every night with my parents over dinner. I'm sure there's some people out there that are going to hear, your parents let you watch TV while you're eating dinner? Yes, they do. And I turned out just fine. So leave us alone, America. And so we were actually eating dinner watching Last Man Standing when we got the email for the audition. I swear it's straight out of a movie. People can call it made up. It's exactly what happened. I promise. We're watching Last Man Standing. She's like, hey, my mom goes, you got an audition for Tuesday for Last Man Standing, Boyd. I look up and I'm like, what? Oh, okay. That was really stressful. Series regular just means that it's not a guest appearance where, they might have you on 2 episodes. You actually have a contract for a certain amount of episodes each season. And that was a blast. Tim was amazing to work with. What you see is what you get with him. He's exactly the kind of person you'd imagine. One of the nicest and most genuine people I've ever met in the industry my entire career. I learned so much from Christoph Sanders, who played Kyle on that show, watching how he could fully submerge himself in that character, which was a very difficult character to play. It's a very hard character to kind of style to have to do. It's just like, Rainn Wilson having to do Dwight on The Office. Right. Nothing like their character at all truly shows the kind of actor that they are. I learned so much from them, from the writers, from the producers, from the directors. Oh my goodness. I learned so much from the directors. There were a lot of ham radio operators on set, including Tim. He's a ham radio guy, really is. So my dad and I both studied and took our tests, both have our ham radio license now. Nice. So there's a lot of fun things like that I was exposed to because of that show. Every show or movie that I've been a part of has exposed me to a different thing and different people. And it's just one of those things, jumping back to the submersing yourself in different things to keep challenging and learning. I learned a lot on the comedy side and what true comedy is from that show. I learned a lot about the serious stuff from various movies that I've been in, and even certain shows like Grey's Anatomy or CSI, which I was in. Those are serious shows. So working with different actors that are in different genres is a lot of fun. And Last Man Standing was no different. It was so much fun. I learned so much. It was a very important part of my life. I joined that show when I was 13. I think it ended when I was 15 or 16. So that's a good chunk of your teenage years.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I love the show. So
thank you.
I definitely, and yeah, tell those people the only way I get my 3-year-old to eat is if I put him in front of the TV. So I don't see anything wrong with that, man.
Absolutely. It's a huge thing nowadays. And it was one of those things, we just enjoyed spending time together. I grew up in a house that loves comedy. Yeah. And so, there's a bunch of shows on TV that we would enjoy watching, and Last Man Standing was our favorite. Mm-hmm. And especially at that time, which is why it was a God thing that I got that audition, because we were watching the show when I got and it's bizarre to think about. Yeah.
So I got to ask you, I don't know shit about acting, so forgive me for my I guess, whatever. When you get into songwriting, are you able to pull from the acting, like because you throw yourself into the role, right? I mean, you become mm-hmm. that person, right? And so do you find that as I guess like a pencil for when you're songwriting type of thing? Like, can you throw yourself into a character a little bit to write on?
I definitely think that's a big thing. Like when I'm songwriting and we get stuck, mm-hmm. One thing I do is I read down it and I'm like, all right, so what are we saying in this verse? What are we saying in this story? What's this person feeling? All right, so we got that out there. All right, now what do they need to feel in this chorus? What is something that we need to resolve that feeling that's in the verse? Yeah. And so it's definitely one of those things for acting as well, for different various characters, especially if it's a character that's based on like a true story, a true person. Mm-hmm. That's one of those things, getting to know that person. I did a movie called Woodlawn, and I actually got to meet the guy who was my character.
Wow.
And, you know, he's an adult now, but talking to him about what it was like growing up in this time and the very intense story that movie tells, it really helped. And I was a young actor at that time, but it still helped me to comprehend what he was experiencing, what he was you know, kind of going through to help put me in that mindset. And that's what you got to do for songwriting. That's what you got to do for acting, which is jumping back to when I said that they complement one another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I, you know, again, going back, I lived in LA. I did the film thing for about 2 years, year and a half. My dad is actually still in California. He's a writer, director, actor, theater, owns a theater company, whole 9 yards.
Nice.
So I've always kind of grown up around it, and part of me misses it a lot sometimes, but that part of me is very glad I'm not doing that. But but that's just me. But I kind of wanted to. I guess this kind of translates into Belmont a little bit too. So this is, what are we in? We're in the fall. So this is your first semester there. What is it called? Do you have like a path, a major planned out, or are you still kind of just?
So I'm studying music business at Belmont, and my emphasis is legal studies. So getting to understand copyright law, things like that. Which is funny because a lot of people thought I would go for songwriting or for acting. And my thought was, this is what I've done my whole life and what I've made my career around. Why would I go to school for the same thing when I could go to school for something that will actually help me boost my career? Learning about the legality around the things that I'm doing as an artist and then as an actor. You know, you can pay an attorney all the money in the world, but there's nobody you can trust more than yourself. And when I go into a meeting to discuss a contract, I want to understand what's being talked about for my life. And so that's why I'm going to school for that. But I'm still very involved in acting, you know, doing voiceover work for Nickelodeon during the strike, because Nickelodeon has a separate contract with SAG-AFTRA. So they were actually the only company that was able to continue producing content. And I just, about a month ago, I'm trying to think, I think it was a month ago, I was elected to the Nashville Board of Directors for SAG-AFTRA. So I'm the youngest board member in like the past 20 years or something like that. And I'm on the board, which is kind of strange to think about, but also I think it's needed, and I'm excited to see what that path brings.
Yeah, no, that's like one of the things for these boards say. I'm on a board for here we're in New Jersey, and it's I'm the youngest one that's in that group, and I'm not really a young guy, you know, and so to get that, you know, I hate this saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. To get that newer blood and that thought process, you know, you kind of need that type of thing in order to keep that organization and that thing moving forward. So, no, man, that's awesome. And it sounds like, you know, you definitely have a good head on your shoulders. You're keeping everything in line. You're not just taking the easy route on anything. You know, you keep challenging yourself. And, you know, I think that, you know, I'm a musician. I'm gonna focus on your music side, man, and I'm gonna follow that for a long time, man.
Thank you. Yeah, no, what you're saying though totally makes sense. You know, I think there's a difference between being an 18-year-old complaining about something on the internet, saying about how things need to change, and then there's actually going and actually doing it.
Yeah. And
so I didn't want to be that 18-year-old that was on the internet complaining about something. That's not my personality. It's not who I am. So rather than complain about the fact that the strike is lasting for too long, all right, well, I guess I'll just run for the board of directors and get there so I can help actually affect good, positive change for my fellow actors.
Yeah. No, man, that's awesome. That's so good. And like, I'm so sick of like keyboard warriors that are, you know, just loudmouths online. Don't do anything about it.
People are real tough when they're behind a screen, but the second they come face to face, they go, "Ooh, this is real.
Yeah,
this is not VR. This is not a game."
No.
Yeah. So I have two stories that kind of fall into this category. I had a buddy just out of high school, ran for our hometown's Board of Education. He won his seat at, I think he was like 19, 20 when it happened. Eventually became whatever higher up. And now he runs a Board of Education out in Oakland, California. And he brought not a very good area, brought this terrible school district to one of the best in California. So
that's amazing.
You just got to go out and do it. And I kind of did the same thing in terms of school. My day job and my life is in the summer camp industry, and I know camp. I've been doing it for, I don't know, 20 years now, whatever it is. And so when I came to college, I thought, well, I can go to business school and learn how to do the ins and outs that I already know how to do, or I can go get my teaching degree in special education. And then when a parent comes to me, as a parent, do you trust the person who knows your kid or the person who knows how to use QuickBooks? So that was like, I had the same exact thought process, that it was, I wanted to do the thing I didn't know how to do and help further my career. And it helped.
Exactly.
It worked.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So let's start kind of closing down a little bit. So 2023 is weirdly coming to an end. It feels
That's
like
a bizarre statement, and how dare you make it? That is, no, I can't say that. No.
Yeah, this has been the fastest year yet.
It really has.
So, we mentioned the two songs, All I Need and Falling To, and, you keep kind of talking about this album coming down the road. So is there anything coming on down the line you want to touch on? Any info on the album yet?
The next album will be coming out started 2024. So, I can't believe I'm going to say this, just a couple months away. Oh, gosh. So that's right around the corner. I have a couple more things that I'm really wanting to release before that, kind of in the meantime, if you will. Keep people interested and guessing. But other than that, I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing, keeping my head down and going forward, trusting that God's got a plan, because I know he does, even though I don't always know what it is or see it. And sometimes I'm like, this train has gone off the rails, Lord. But I know he's got a plan, so I'm excited to see what's next along the tracks.
Nice, man. Well, Jet, it's been awesome to sit here and chat with you.
Thank you so much.
For our listeners that have been living under a rock, where they can find you online and find your music?
All of my social media, my website, my music, everything is under the same thing, just my name, Jet Jurgensmeyer. Jet with one T like a plane. It's a fun way to remember it. Jurgensmeyer, you don't have to memorize all 12 letters, but I will be very, very flattered if you do. You just have to know J-U-R, the first three, J-U-R. So J-E-T-J-U-R, I'll pop up. It's not like John Smith. It's a pretty uncommon name. If there's another Jet Jurgensmeyer out there, we got to like rock, paper, scissors for it or flip a coin. I don't know. But I should pop up. It's all just under my name. And reach out. Say that you say where you heard me, where you found out about me. I love seeing where different people are coming from. Yeah.
Well, I'll piggyback Brian. Jet, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and we can't wait to see what this album looks like. And
thank you.
All big things to come.
Well, when the album comes out, I got to come back on here and talk to both of you.
Yeah, we're for it, man.
Thank you so much, Ronnie, Brian. Thank you guys so much.
All right, so that was our interview with Jet Jurgensmeyer, and I know before we went into it, I mentioned only being 18 and young, and it occurred to me as we were coming back into this that he mentioned in the interview that he's the youngest board member for SAG-AFTRA. So after last week's news of SAG and all those strikes coming down, I'm sure he's having a blast this week.
Yeah, I mean, one thing's for sure is that Jet is not a bored person. He's got his hands in everything. He is super, geez, what do I want to say? He's busy as hell with everything that he does, and he does not lack enthusiasm. That kid is just like, he's ready to go, you know, and you can tell from like an early age, like he was just born to be an entertainer. If that's acting, if that's singing, it's in his blood, and I don't see him quitting any of that anytime soon, man.
No, not at all. And you know, he said, like, you know, we always ask when did you know you were going to do this? And he was like, I always loved entertaining. So I guess, you know, when you start acting at 4 and when you grow up in a household that owns a live music venue, it's pretty hard to not get bit by the bug, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was really excited. You know, I was always a fan of Last Man Standing, and you know, it's kind of on regularly in the household here, and so it was fun. It was fun to meet him. It was fun to sit there and chat, and yeah, the kid is really good. I'm excited for, you know, to hear his musical career start to kind of take off here.
Yeah, he mentioned the album coming out in 2024, so we'll keep an eye on that. And I guess to kind of take it out of the interview talk, I did want to touch on, you know, Jet mentioned that he went to Belmont University, and you know, I was talking about that. And for those that know and or don't know, in the Belmont world, last week, I believe it was now, there was I don't want to say it was a shooting on campus because that's not accurate. But a Belmont student was shot, and she is a New Jersey kid. She grew up here. She's I have friends who were her actual teachers in her high school. And so hope everybody down in Belmont, if anybody knew her, and you know, it's sad and yeah,
no, it's sad and extremely unfortunate. And like you said, I mean, our thoughts and prayers go out to the young woman's family and friends and the campus there at Belmont. But definitely want to thank Jet for coming on Outside the Circle. Make sure you go and follow him on all of his social media and music listening platforms. We'll leave you today with a track from Jet Jurgensmeyer, Falling 2.
If I speak my mind, I'll get caught up in all the detailed lines. Say something wrong even though it feels so right. I'm falling for you. Every day feels like I've got something to prove. Sometimes even a king can be a fool. What can I do? Because you got me tangled up in tongue-tied, baby. You got your hand in mine, making me go crazy. I'm not ready to say it, maybe you don't feel the same, but if you do, then tell me you're falling too. I've been here before, but this time it's something that I can't ignore. Every time you leave me wanting more, and more and more and more. 'Cause you got me tangled up in tongue-tied, baby. You got your hand in mine, making me go crazy. I'm not ready to say it, maybe you don't feel the same, but if you do, tell me you're falling into my arms, late into the night. We can lay on the grass while I'm holding you tight. Falling too. Because you got me tangled up and tongue-tied, baby. You got your hand in mine, making me go crazy. I'm not ready to say it, maybe you don't feel the same, but if you do, because you tangled up and tongue-tied, baby. You got your hand in mine, making me go crazy. Now I'm ready to say maybe you don't feel the same, but if you do, then tell me you're falling too.